you mentioned about like you going for 2 years, and I think I remember, your post that you have written on Facebook about 2 years of completely, not eating meat.
Yeah.
To then saying that, okay, I've
It's
realized that now
important,
it's
yeah.
important that I need to get into the meat, right? But also with the whole, vegetarian movement or the vegan movement,
yeah.
that's going on. So like, what's your thing about, like, is it possible for somebody to get everything that their body need
No.
from plant itself, or do you
No,
think
you
it's
can't. You really can't. And I'm somebody who did that professionally for 2 years. I had a lot of professional collaborations that went away when I said that this is just not working. How did I fall into the vegan trap? One is I really, I didn't want to cause harm to another being. I really didn't,
Yeah,
right? Like for
yeah.
my own existence, I thought if I could live without taking a life, it would really be so cool.
Yeah.
One was that. Secondly, it is propaganda. Actually, vegan, there is a lot of, again, money spent on vegan propaganda, right? So there's a lot of books and documentaries and articles that came about around that time. It felt like a big huge wave, which was kind of pushing that veganism is healthier. Veganism is healthier because of the saturated fat in animal foods and all of that. And see, when people came to me, or even when I was making a change, when you take somebody off the standard diet that they're on, which could be processed foods, ordering in, eating a lot of seed oils, eating sugar, and when you just, even for 3 months, if you put them on, let's say, a whole food plant-based thing, which is like whole plant-based things without outside food, without processed food, they are going to feel better. So that short-term impact of making that lifestyle change sometimes gets attributed to veganism. But if you follow veganism for long, like there are so many people like who stop being vegan after the first 2 years. So many, like so many converts, because beyond 6 months, beyond like 1 year, the vegan diet will start showing its like its problems itself, right? So deficiencies start building up, all of these anti-nutrients start building up, you'll start losing muscle mass, you'll start losing bone mass, your immunity can actually come down because you don't even have the basic nutrients that you need to keep your immune systems up. So unless you like, the one thing I was doing for myself was, because I was doing blood tests so often, right, I could see deficiencies were happening. Now, I also had this cognitive dissonance that I was practicing something and I didn't want to change that. I was like, okay, theek, if I'm not getting iron from food, I'll just take a supplement from it. If I'm not getting protein, I'll just take a protein powder for it. So slowly, my kitchen cabinet was more supplements and like
less food.
Food was like, okay, I'm eating, but then I had to also take so many supplements along with it. And I was like, something is going wrong, right? If I'm taking so many supplements and my blood work is still showing deficiencies. And then same thing was happening with clients, because when somebody signs up with us for 3 months, okay, we are supporting them, but afterwards also they keep getting their blood work done every 6 months or so. And I could see deficiencies were building up. And then Johan, whom we both know of, he also came into the picture. So he also had been a vegan for a year. And because he's such a deep researcher, he went into it because it wasn't working for his body either. And then he started sharing information with me, right? Like research papers and articles. And I decided to let go of the identity that I was holding as a whole food plant-based nutritionist. Like, okay, what if I'm wrong? Right? And then when I explored and I saw that, okay, maybe there is some merit to the fact that animal foods are part, like, and they've been part of our ancient cultures, right? So I went back and included that. First, I started with myself and I felt good immediately, Bijay, like immediately, right? So there was this little bit of guilt or whatever, sadness. And also when you're vegan, you have a very high level of moral superiority.
Yeah.
You think you're better than everybody else on this planet because
You're
you're
anyone.
like vegan. So I had to let go of that moral superiority. And then I decided that if I'm going to eat meat, I'm going to go to the butcher myself and like procure it. Like I'm not going to shy away from the process. I'm going to deal with whatever feelings come to me, right? So I went and I bought. So that was difficult. But when I ate it, I started feeling better. So post-workout recovery was much faster. My ability to lift more and more weight went up. So I could see immediate changes in my body, right? And
so when you say meat, what kind of meat do you eat? Like, do you eat
chicken? Mutton mostly. And whichever state it's still legal, then I also eat beef when I travel. But mutton mostly, eggs every day. And seafood like maybe on weekends or maybe twice a week. But that's what I eat. So my diet is mostly eggs, mutton, rice, and fruits.
Okay.
And
How about
coffee.
nuts?
Nuts again have the seed oil, right? So too many omega-6 fatty acids. So you could occasionally eat a nut or two, but if you're eating nuts like every day as a snack, then your omega-6 ka ratio again is going up without realizing it, right? So for a lot of people, we cut out nuts, and they were like, but these are healthy.
Yeah.
And then we'll be like, it's just the omega-6 thing about it. And then when we remove them, automatically the body starts. So things like nuts and all, occasionally you can eat them. You don't need to like I said, be afraid of any food.
But not on your daily diet.
Not on a daily basis. You don't need them on a daily basis.
So fruits?
Fruits are absolutely cool.
Your fruits?
Fruits,
Meat
animal
if you eat,
protein,
animal protein if you
ghee,
eat.
butter, rice is what I eat. So either rice ki jo roti hoti hai, like bhakri, right? That or just white rice is what I eat. And yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned about bhakri, rice ki roti, right? So what's the problem with wheat, gehu ki roti?
So wheat has something called as gluten, and gluten is something. So you know how your clothes brush is, right? So if you take a clothes brush and gisofy something, right, it's going to start getting eroded. Gluten does that to our small intestine. So for most people, they don't even know that they are actually having a gluten issue until they eliminate it, and then they don't eat it for a month or two. And when they eat it, they realize how it. For me, what gluten does is it makes me gain weight immediately. Like my body tells me, no, don't eat this, by weight going up. For a lot of people, it causes things like constipation, gas, and bloating. Some people, it actually makes them very lethargic and tired. So gluten is something that's inflammatory to your gut. It really erodes your gut lining and reduces the absorptive surface. So if the absorptive surface of your small intestine is reduced, then other nutrients also don't get absorbed. And sometimes long-term exposure to gluten can create something called as leaky gut, which is where in your small intestine there'll be
things start leaking into your bloodstream.
And that can create autoimmune conditions. Gluten also has this ability to mimic. So when it comes to autoimmune conditions like the thyroid, right, Hashimoto's and all of that, the thyroid tissue and the gluten molecule look pretty identical structurally. So your body might be actually trying to attack gluten, but it ends up attacking the thyroid tissue. So we've seen that autoimmune conditions do so well once we eliminate gluten from people's diet. So gluten is like that. But again, like I was very afraid of gluten for 2 years because I had an autoimmune Hashimoto's and I reversed it, and I was like, gluten is my nemesis, like kryptonite, so I'll never touch gluten. But 2020 was a difficult year for most of us, right? For me, it was extra difficult because I also was like doing a court case for my daughter's custody and all. And really, emotionally, it was really horrible. So at that time, if I felt like eating, what did I eat? I ate a cake or something, right? And I was like, okay, I didn't die. I'm alive. So I don't need to be afraid of this anymore, right? So that fear of gluten kind of went away. So now you can eat it occasionally, but you have to know your individual tolerance. Like if I eat it every day, my weight is going to go back. Like I know, right?
So but this is the country of roti.
But yeah, roti bhi, it was not there before, right?
Okay.
So roti came mostly with British colonization.
Okay.
Wheat wasn't our main crop. Wheat came part of also the Green Revolution when there was this major famine condition that happened, right? So Canada, US sent wheat as a cash crop that you plant this will grow quickly. With the British, it was mostly bread, and bread and pav were very elitist.
Yeah.
So like if you look at Maharashtrian households, it was mostly bhakris, right? Jowar, bajra and rice.
Yeah.
Down south, it was always rice. Up north, it was mostly makkah, like wheat was never really there until British and the Green Revolution happened. It was not. So what happens to us and our parents is we think just because we've seen it in our lifetime, it's part of our traditional diet.
Yeah.
But if you go back one more generation, it's actually not part of our traditional diet. Seed oils, wheat, sugar, none of these.
Yeah. I think people who are listening to this are like, oh my God, this is a lot of change coming my way.
I know, right? And see, the thing is like mainstream will be like eat brown bread instead of white bread, high fiber, add wheat bran to your rotis. But no, don't. Like this is cutting edge nutrition, Bijay. Like see, it wasn't even there in India until I for myself I discovered and I started bringing it in, right? So in the US, it's really gone beyond what we understand of nutrition. Sometimes I feel, actually that's why we also started the academy. We wanted to really teach nutritionists, right? Like you have really bright people graduating from college doing 7 years of like a specialization, and they've been taught the wrong stuff, and people are going to them for their diet plans, and like not everyone is going to come to Thrive, right? But what about the people who are going to others? Why can't we teach them what is right nutrition? And